is going to get to learn about medicinal mushrooms. And equal is exciting. Tonight is the first night we are also live streaming to our YouTube channel. So for those of you that are not aware, we have the Stories of Hope Live YouTube channel. You can hit subscribe to that and feel free to share that link in those recordings with your friends. So we're going to start off right out the bat with hearing a testimony from Cassie Albinson about this amazing mushroom blend called NeuroIM. So Kristen, we're not seeing that testimony. Everyone, please bear with us. We're just now doing this for the first time with the new streaming service. There we go. All right, take it away. And no volume, Kristen, I'm afraid.
Give me 1 second, please. You know what, Valerie, let's go on to...
Got it. All right, we will bounce back and check that testimony out a little bit later. Again, apologies, this is our first time with streaming live to YouTube. But now we're going to take and get the opportunity to hear from Miss Jody Carlton, and she's going to be teaching us about how we can get the most out of our Solle program. So Jody, if you will take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Val. You know, I love this part of the program. It's just really some practical suggestions that we can put into place right now, and we can feel the effects of our body healing. Speaking about our body healing, this is really interesting. It's called Hering's Law of Cure, and it's the direction of how your body heals. And notice the arrows. It says from top down, so from your head downward, from within your body outward, from a more important organ to a lesser important organ, and in reverse order of their appearance. So listen to your body, and you just may feel and see this amazing process take place as you begin to feel better. So speaking about feeling better, the herbs and adaptogens in Solle's products are wonderful, and they work in a really wonderful way, but we have to do our part too so that they can really have a beneficial effect. Let's talk about 4 ways that we can support our bodies. And the first one here, you know it. We've all heard these before. Hydration, right? Water, water, water. I can say it 3 times for emphasis. Our bodies are 70% water. Every cell and every process in our body needs fresh water. It's really so important. And it's one of the easiest ways of helping our bodies to stay healthy. So try to get on track and stay on track. Get on a schedule of drinking water. You know, we know there's apps and alarms that we can use to help if we need them. But if we're skimping on the amount of water that we're taking in, we're not helping our body to look and feel its best. So the next one, I could probably say 3 times for emphasis too, sleep, right? Our body heals and detoxes while we sleep. So it's really important to give sleep our best shot, is to set ourselves up for success. So how can we do this? What are some suggestions? Well, first of all, be careful of the habit of eating too much or too late in the evening. That's one thing. Going to bed with a full belly or, full of trigger foods, definitely will disturb our sleep. Blue lights from our phones and computers, from all of our devices, that really has a big impact, bigger than has a big impact on our body and our mind in its ability to wind down. So give yourself the needed break, shut them off an hour or two if you could before you go to bed. The next one is diet and digestion. Now, we already talked a little bit about eating too much or a little bit too late. And, while that does happen occasionally, what's your norm? Your body will thank you for putting in good fuel. And remember, everything that you put into your mouth is either fueling your body or it's fueling your dis-ease. So eat plenty of fruits and veggies, eat good sources of protein, limit the food that negatively impacts us. We all know what our triggers are. And then, of course, processed foods and sugar. And remember, it's not just what you put into your body that can have an impact, but it's what you listen to, what you read, what you watch. All of those things you're digesting in one way or another. So, and all of those things can definitely have an impact physically, mentally, and emotionally. And then lastly, stress. Yikes, right? Is there a person out there today who isn't affected by stress by, one sort of another, whether it's balancing family, kids, work, helping aging parents, navigating teens, right? Every single one of those are stressful in themselves. But when you're trying to tackle a couple of these at the same time, that's when it gets really tricky. It's really hard physically, mentally, and certainly emotionally. So, and remember, your body reacts to stress, even good stress. Your body doesn't really know the difference. So how you rebound from that stress is really critical. So try to pay attention to how you feel when you do these things. When you drink enough water, you get proper sleep, your diet and digestion is going well. And you're keeping your stress at manageable levels. And of course, we all know how wonderful Solle's products are in helping us to balance those things out as well. So back to you, Val.
Fantastic. Jody, that was amazing. Isn't that Herring's Law of Cures just really impressive? I mean, most people, we've come to expect that, a symptom disappears immediately, not realizing all the actual steps the body's designed to go through. So thank you so much for sharing that, Jody. And now I believe Kristen has our video ready to run for Cassie Albinson's testimony. So let's give it a whirl.
Hello, I'm Cassie Albinson, and I've been with Solle for almost 4 years. My second item that I tried with Solle was NeuroIM. I was very intrigued by the 10 mushroom blend and all of its benefits. I was having concentration issues, starting many projects at the same time and never really finishing. I didn't have a lot of creativity, or I always felt stuck, and making a decision was so hard. So this definitely was the second product I tried after Clear SI. It was about 3 days of taking 2 in the morning, and I started feeling more motivated and focused, finishing all the projects I had started, a lot more creativity, and making decisions became easier. So I shared it with my family, and my husband has a to-do list that is very long that was always there. And I think it was about 2 weeks after he had started, he came and said, "It's all done, what's next?" He was driving me crazy with his motivation, but I was also very thankful. And we both know that that was NeuroIM. Having kids at that time that was finishing high school and starting college, it also benefited them. There's just a drive, a focus. So when you know better, you do better. And so we chose better. Thank you so much.
What an amazing testimony from Cassie. I love how she was so aware about the ability to make decisions and how that changed. Now let's hear from Darcy in her testimony for NeuroIM. So Darcy, please unmute yourself and let's hear your story.
All right. Of course, my favorite quote is all for the good of health. We should do everything all in the good for the good of our own health, because that's what keeps us alive. NeuroIM, the one thing I noticed that as I started taking it, my vision started to change and the blurry and goopiness in my eyes went away. And I, had stopped taking it, or ran out, I should say, and the goopiness would come back. Another thing I noticed was earwax, more earwax in my ears. And so, just one of those things. But my all-time favorite NeuroIM testimonial is of my dad, who, sorry, hopefully I don't cry, who has had Parkinson's for probably almost probably over 5 years. And when I heard about the cognitive of the benefits of this NeuroIM and the mushroom blends, I had him give it a try. And when he was really consistent with it, his speech became more clear and more distinctive. And so I could understand him more. And so that was ultimately my favorite testimony with NeuroIM.
Wow, thank you, Darcy. That's amazing. And it always sits, I mean, we're always excited with all the benefits and stories what these products can do, but when it hits that close to home with someone we love that much, and something like that type of situation where you get to see your dad again, how excited. I got choked up for you too when I was listening to that story. Thank you for sharing. All right, so now we are going to hear from our president and founder, Greg Halliday, and he is going to share some more about NeuroIM and share us a couple, maybe perhaps 10 facts for 10 different mushrooms that we have in our formula. Greg, would you take it away, please?
You bet, Valerie. I love to share one thing about each mushroom, because yes, there are many things about each mushroom that have been recorded in studies and shared, and a good part of why we are here at Solle is to pass along everything that we learn, right? We want everyone else to have the same information we have. That's how we lift each other. So I'm not going to share screen, but I am going to stare a little, so apologize for my stare and share. But I have my notes, and I hope that what I share tonight can be something that might be just the thing that someone needs to hear for either for themselves or for someone else. Because what I'm doing is I'm looking at the training here, and there are, like I say, just in this training on the 10 mushrooms that are part of NeuroIM, there are 7 or 8 major points of emphasis. And I have the tough decision of just picking one for you in the interest of time from each mushroom. So I'm going to do that. But before I say the first one, can I just throw a reminder out? When we launched this product in the fall of 2019, Dr. Allison Caldwell-Andrews, our chief scientific advisor, she gave a presentation. And you remember she talked about how mushrooms are the fruiting body, and that what shoots out beneath them are like little branches that are called hyphae, Hyphae, I think, if I'm pronouncing them right. And that these little branches, kind of like their root system, you could call them, are part of what's called a mycelium. Mycelium, this whole network of branches, can be very large. In other words, one interconnected mycelium can be hundreds of acres, they've proven, or even greater. Why is that important? Because plants absorb nutrients where they stand. They pull them up from the earth, they get minerals, they get these wonderful components that make a difference, like in Darcy's dad. And the thing about mycelium is they've shown that, like, in woods, one of the large ones, I think it was in Oregon, one of the trees got bugs in one end, and all of a sudden they measured in the mycelium of mushrooms high concentrations of certain anti-bug nutrients or compounds that were much higher in that area where the trees had bugs in this mycelium of mushrooms versus in other parts. So what I'm trying to say is, think of the access that mushrooms in so many varieties have to pull from expanses and different vast sections of nature where all these wonderful nutrients exist. This is the reason, it's one reason to me, one sort of testimony as to why mushrooms are so nutritious and can make such a difference. So that being said, 10 mushrooms in NeuroIM, we call them 10 medicinal. There's a book that Dr. Allison wrote called 10 Medicinal Mushrooms. If you haven't heard it, it's a fun read, an easy read, and it gives you everything succinctly. So this is what I'm pulling this information from, her book. Number 1, lion's mane, a mushroom that kind of falls down like the mane of a lion and is the number 1 ingredient in NeuroIM. And why is it? Well, here's one fact about lion's mane. It helps nerve cells repair themselves and communicate with other nerve cells. So nerve cell reparations. And in fact, one of the studies to do with this was on the brain in a Parkinson's situation. So that's your one fact for lion's mane. The next one is a mushroom called Messima. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. It's probably Americanized. Why is Messima? What does it do that is so amazing? Well, I'm going to give you just 1 point. In one study, the gut was protected from damages caused by NSAIDs. So these common pain relievers that damage the gut, people that took Messima in their diet did not have the damage. Now that's what was measured. Think about the rest of your body and protection. Okay, so that's my Messima fact. Next one is turkey tail. As you can imagine, it's a mushroom that kind of looks like the tail of a turkey. What is so amazing about turkey tail? Well, let's see. Here's 1 point, a summary of several studies used in situations of chronic inflammation of the liver, infections to the lungs, urinary infections, digestive tract, a number of various digestive tract infections. So turkey tail providing nutrition that the body uses then to neutralize a number of, I would say, tough, stubborn varieties of infections. Shiitake is the next one. Shiitake has a substance, I won't try to pronounce it, that is very antiviral. Not only are a number of viruses inhibited because of that substance in shiitake, but also bacteria and parasitic infections. So really a general broad antimicrobial. So there's a fun fact about shiitake. The next one is chaga. I think this is our 5th mushroom. An odd shape, can have a lot of different shapes. As I understand, they grow on trees, and you can kind of think it's like a stump or a knot from a tree if you don't know what chaga looks like. What are some of the wonderful points about chaga? Well, I think I mentioned this one a couple of months ago. I'm going to say it again. It promotes hair growth. So there's a fun fact about chaga. That's an easy thing to say, hair growth, but it involves obviously several different things and can be kind of complex. So chaga can make a difference in changing at the root level what is involved in hair growth. Okay, something I'm obviously interested in. Maitake. Okay, here's a fun fact about maitake. This is one of several mushrooms in NeuroIM that are known to lower or reduce heavy metal levels that you can measure in liver, kidneys, blood. So in particular, this study had to do with mercury, but there are several heavy metals that are all too prevalent in our society that with these mushrooms, body's able to rid itself of these heavy metals. I'll just give you personal opinion. I think Valerie would probably agree with me. Heavy metals absolutely have a direct impact on our cognitive and brain function, cognitive abilities. Next mushroom is, to me, one of the prettiest. It comes in all sorts of shades from light brown to like almost translucent white. It's called tremella. Tremella is another one. I think that I am going to use the fun fact that is related to lion's mane that I mentioned earlier. Tremella gives the body nutrients it needs to stimulate the growth of neurites and protect brain neurons in the cases of cognitive challenges, like, for instance, Alzheimer. So it supports the body in that function and that defense through neurite growth, through nerve growth. Okay, reishi. Red reishi is the variety that we use in the Solle formula. And I think the fun fact I'm going to tell you about reishi tonight has to do with healing ulcers, gastric ulcers, and restoring the mucous membrane, that protective membrane that we have throughout the stomach and digestive system. To me, when I think of that, I think of all the chemicals and let's call them toxins that are in processed foods, what we drink, what we eat. When we have a healthy protective layer, this mucus layer in lungs and digestion, etc., things that aren't supposed to get in don't get in. They get processed out. Things that are supposed to transfer through the mucus layer do transfer with a healthy mucus. So red reishi, one of the many things that it does, it actually, and it's not known for as much, is heal ulcer situations there and restoring that mucus layer. Next one is a Brazilian mushroom. Probably doesn't grow just in Brazil. We're down to our last two. This is mushroom number 9, Agaricus blazei. Probably not pronouncing that right either. And I think what I want to tell you on that one is it is protective, and one study showed, of the major nerve center in the gut. I think that's the enteric nerve system, right, Valerie? And I've heard lately lots of talk. We were reminded by Dr. Allison in one of her studies that communication that goes on from gut to brain, which is constant and numerous, huge amount of communication, 80% of it is generated from the gut, sent up to the brain, not vice versa. So anything that protects those nerves is going to make a huge difference in clarity of mind and in so many functions. That's Agaricus blazei, one of the studies there. And last one is cordyceps. Cordyceps, I guess the one that I want to share with you today, it does so many different things, but one of the things that it is known for is a direct, I guess I'll say it this way, it's kind of a heart-lung mushroom to me. A direct difference in healthy oxygen levels into the blood, which is directly related to how strong our heart is. And so some of the studies that Dr. Allison highlighted for us had to do with heart and lungs. And I personally started using cordyceps many years ago as one of the reasons we made sure it was part of NeuroIM, because that's where I had weaknesses, lungs and asthma. And I used over-the-counter, what's now not even available over-the-counter. They've taken them away, and they now make you have a prescription for what I used to use and you could buy over-the-counter, which would cause heart palpitations and heart issues with me. But it was something I did because of the asthma attacks. Cordyceps is something that I began using because of my imbalances, health imbalances there for many years. And I've seen a huge difference. It's part of a broader program that I take. And so NeuroIM, I actually don't miss it every day either. Well, I hope those 10 fun facts got you thinking a little bit about these mushrooms. Back to you, Valerie.
Thank you, Greg. And, there's so much to say. For someone who's never personally liked mushrooms, I cannot not have this formula every day. And two thoughts I was thinking of. One was cordyceps is the mushroom I also use to completely reverse a lung condition that my grandmother had that they'd given her 5 years to live. And she lived 11 years, she would say 89, she went to 101. And then the other is when you're talking about heavy metals, I love that these mushrooms have this ability to work with removing heavy metals. It is so much more common in our diet and in our water than people are aware of. And for those listening, if you want a fun fact, you can look at your fingernails and the moon, which is the white part of your nail. If right above that, there's like a purplish red line, you might want to consider taking some NeuroIM because that has to do with heavy metal toxicity. That's one of the ways it shows up. So obviously our products are amazing, but so is the Solle family. So Greg, can you talk a little bit about the power of the Solle events?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the reasons that we have Solle events, and one of the reasons that we name an individual who brings someone else into Solle, who helps them enroll and place an order and works with them, we name them mentors. Those two things come together at our events. Our events are all about mentoring. We do have to help ourselves if we want to help someone else, like the old airline oxygen spiel that they make. And these events, not only do they provide an opportunity to rub shoulder with people that, like Valerie, who for many, many years have helped others and have such a great not just a great bank of knowledge and experience, but also a great heart for sharing, having seen what changes happen. And there are many others in the Solle family that provide some wonderful leadership. And coming to an event is a chance to meet them. One of the characteristics we value most at Solle is to be accessible. All of us, from founders to leaders, we want to meet you, hear your story, spend the time together. And so that's why events like Solle Ignite are organized. When we talk about a Solle business, we're talking about helping a person gain that personal strength and create a business that they own that is about mentoring other people, both in their health and also providing for them a worthwhile business that is going to change families and individuals by first with their health, and then secondly, with security and stability because of the income opportunity. So Ignite, that's hence the name. Ignite is about that spark, that event where you live through it and things are never the same afterward. They're brighter, they're bigger, they're better. And so that's why Solle Ignite was created. We have lots of different incentives associated with it to help you on your journey. People can come in groups. We call them celebrates. And through that, they're able to get their hotel room. We spend part of the event seeing firsthand the manufacturing and quality of the Solle products. So you have that eyewitness. We spend part of the event socially expanding our network and getting to connect throughout the Solle family so that, again, your resources are never the same afterwards. Ignite really is, in all Solle events, they really are life changers. I can say, we all can say it who have been to many of them. After each one, you are not the same. Last fall, we went to Summit and then we went to Bryce Canyon together. I'm not the same person that I was. I had experiences there that changed me, that enriched my life, and I see things differently and better. Ignite will be that way for you. So we do encourage you. It always is an investment. You've got to carve time out. It's never easy to say, oh, I'm going to put this off, or I'm going to do this differently so I can go. But it will be worth it. The design of the event, the exciting announcements that we're going to make, and the training and networking will make it to be, I promise you, worth all the effort that you put into it.
I agree with you 100%, Greg. And out of all the events we've had over all the years, only one time have I not been able to attend. And every time I walk away better than when I stepped in. So with that, we're now going to hear from another one of our wonderful specialists in Solle. And I love how Greg used the term accessible and how we all are step up and help each other. So let's hear from Kristen Alexander, and she's going to talk about her Solle business.
Hey there, this is Kristen Alexander, and I have been with Solle since 2017. And I brought Solle into my business then because I was looking for ways that I could better help my clients. As a natural health professional, there are so many things that I do to help people just expand their wellness from the inside out. And what is so unique about Solle is that it makes a difference for them in ways that I can't do. I can't do it through nutrition. I can't do it through coaching, all the things. So these adaptogenic herbs are just so amazing. So with that, another unique thing that it has made a difference with is the community that it brings. It just doesn't get better than that. And it's beyond community, it's family. And then I get to work from places like this. Can you see the beach and the palm trees in the sunsets? It's amazing. And Solle has actually given me the opportunity to do this in places like Costa Rica and Florida and Mexico and so many places. You just get rewarded for making a difference for people. So if you have any questions on what it looks like to bring Solle into your business, or if you're already in Solle and you want to know how to expand that, please reach out to whoever invited you today. Have a great day.
Thank you, Kristen. And I agree. We have gotten phenomenal opportunities to travel with Solle, and we can work our business from wherever we are. So with that, we want to make certain that if you have any interest in joining the Solle business, make certain that you reach out to the person who invited you to this call. We have some amazing kits and 3 different choices for how to make your business match who you are with 3 different starting points. And then, of course, you can take those starting points and then expand it even from there, again, to totally individualize your business and help it, again, line up with who you are. And Kristen spoke about Costa Rica, and I've got an opportunity to go there 2 times, and I plan to be there the 3rd time. Right now is a great time to join Solle because we are actually in the middle of qualifying for Costa Rica, and there is still time to qualify. I know people that can do it and are doing it. And here we are in March, and I know here in Kansas, we tend to have our biggest, most impressive snowstorm in March. And a lot of people are probably going to be wishing that they were on the beach in Costa Rica. So I would love to have you join us there. And we are always looking to hear about your story and to share hope with people. And that's what this is about, to let you know that there are options to improve the quality of your life, that you don't have to go on going status quo. And a lot of that inspiration comes from hearing from everybody and their story and what's happened. So please, if you have a story, reach out to us and let us know, because we would love to hear your story. And then finally, if you would love to get a text notification 15 minutes before we go live. And just so you know, I'm the one that sends it out. And next week, now that we have gotten this first time off the ground with live streaming to YouTube, I will also have the link in there to join straight via YouTube live stream as well. But all you need to do is text HOPE to the number on the screen there, and we would love to have you join us, and you will get those reminders. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we look forward to